Jesus, for example, which may be interest of you, that he was a great and mighty prophet, a great and mighty messenger of God.
Yeah.
And that's the message that he came with in the New Testament as well.
Yeah.
He invited people to worship God alone.
Okay.
He never made any claims to being God,
Sure.
rather a prophet and a Messiah, which is what Islam affirms for him.
Okay.
Islam teaches that Jesus was a prophet. And we got this very much prevalent within the New Testament. He mentions many times that he's a prophet. Mark's Gospel, Luke, Matthew, John, they all mention that he was a prophet.
Really? Okay.
Are you aware of that?
Not really. No, I've never read it. I've never read the Bible.
You've never even read it. So what do you believe? What exactly is your belief
Well,
now?
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I've come to believe that religion is a story written by winners. So, for example, why are you Muslim?
Because conceptually it makes the most sense for me.
Oh, okay, yeah, me too. So let me ask you, and then maybe you can just like fill in the blanks for me. So I am Catholic, or I was raised Catholic because my parents were raised Catholic, and my parents were raised Catholic because their parents were, and so on and so forth, right? If you go back and look at the history of Mexico, for example, go back to around 1519, there was no Christianity in that part of the world, right, until the Spaniards showed up. And so where I start to have, I guess, disagreements is, am I only Catholic because I was forced to?
Ancestry.
And similarly, are you only Muslim because you were raised in an area in which that was the...
You know what, the answer to your question is this. If this is what you've been historically born and brought up in, then there comes a time of reflection.
Sure.
Because in these societies we live in, there's no compulsion that you must believe according to what you may have been brought into.
Yeah.
This is the methodology of living in the West, in the US where you are, or over here in London. So for example, what we didn't understand is, okay, if we were to inwardly look at our religion and think, does it make sense for me that a limited human being with flesh and bones, can he be the Almighty God?
Yeah.
I will then investigate my scriptures.
Sure.
I will look into and say, okay, what does it say about this God? So when we see in the New Testament and in the Old Testament that God is one, there's nothing like God. He's neither a man nor a woman, nor an idol, nor a statue. I think, okay, interesting. So why do we believe in Jesus as God then? Which many Catholics do. So I would think that doesn't make sense, particularly when you investigate the New Testament and you become familiar with the terminology within the New Testament, and then you'll go away satisfied that he's not made any claims to being God himself. So then it makes more sense. Why does Islam make more sense amongst so many religions? Because it's got the very best concept of God,
Which is?
who is unlike his creation. He's created the universe. By default or by definition, he must be beyond the universe.
Yeah.
Something which creates the universe when there was no universe 13.8 billion years ago. Yeah. So we're told by science.
What does it say in the Quran about like drugs? What's your...
So it doesn't specifically mention drugs, but any form of intoxication which will be detrimental to your faculties is deemed as unacceptable.
What does detrimental mean?
Detrimental means which will severely affect you.
In what way?
Well, drugs.
I mean, because caffeine affects me, and it's a very valid substance.
Don't have it then.
Don't have it?
Yeah. If
I
you're
can do so much work though, and I can be so productive when I'm taking caffeine.
okay, so just if caffeine is usually taken for people who may be doing long hours, they want to just stay awake mainly a little bit more.
Just in the sense of doing work, like
I know.
I don't know, if I'm at my job and I take an energy drink,
Yes.
caffeine is helping me be more productive.
That's fine. Okay, but at the same juncture, if you bodily are of the disposition that you are affected in a negative way, then recline from it. For example, eating meat, you could say something about eating meat.
Eating meat?
Yeah, eating meat, too much red meat in consumption. I love my meat.
Yeah, me too.
Right, but if I have to say too much red meat, although I love it, I will get like itchiness within me.
Oh, really?
Strange how maybe higher cholesterol levels. Yeah. So I'll take that within a particular moderation, because it also has got many benefits.
Right?
Precisely, it's also got. But recently, for example, with Islam, for example, prohibiting the consumption of alcohol in recent Pew research has showed that even a small consumption of alcohol is very bad for you. Even a small now. Before it was understood, you could take like 3% within brandy, for example, which acts as a as a help in any particular sickness that you may have. And historically that was used in some extent. But anyway, the point now is that the latest research is, so Islam forbids alcohol consumption. It forbids gambling. We know what happens with gambling as well. People will say, oh, what if you gamble sensibly? But if you win £200 on a horse and you think, lovely, the temptation will be further, and then destruction ensues. So Islam forbids gambling. Islam forbids interest-based economies. Interest on your well, I mean, in the sense that, well, in the sense that the rich become richer, the poor become poorer. We know if I lend you £200, you've got to give me back £400 in return over a period of time. This is not acceptable because you may be in a situation where most people who have to make their livelihood. People here can't afford to buy house.
I don't know if this might be a difficult question to answer. If you had been born in the United States, would you have been Muslim?
I would, yes, because you know why I would say that? Because if you were, it comes to every person's life where he reflects at some juncture. That's the fact that you're even standing here speaking to us when you could be doing so many other things. It's testimony to that. So
I don't mind talking with people.
That's great. That's good. It's good to share ideas and good to share different people's thinking processes. So what I would then think, you know what? It makes perfect sense that a universe which didn't exist, it came into existence. Did it come by nothing? That's too much of a stretch.
Like the Marvel comic books, though.
Yes.
That is a universe that just randomly appeared.
Popped up without any conscious being. So the other plausibility, Sherlock Holmes, you must have heard of Sherlock Holmes. What's it? I'll paraphrase. He once said, whatever's left over must be the truth. So if we go for the process of elimination.
Probability and stuff.
Yes, I can't remember the exact. I used to read his books a lot when I was younger. But
I've never read them.
Yeah. But the point I'm trying to address to you, my friend, is when you go through that process of elimination, reason and having good reason to believe is sufficient, so that then you conclude there can only be a creator.
Reason to believe. So can somebody be a good person without following a specific religion?
By compulsion you can be. However, then we need to define so many faculties, like what is deemed as objective morality, for example. Where do you stand on such positions? What is your position, for example, on comparing and contrasting homosexuality with incest? If you're of the new breed of thinking of people who thinking homosexuality is perfectly acceptable and legal, but then you could not make an argument against incest.
What incest meaning?
Having sexual relations with your family members, like two siblings.
That's very.
Now, before you go down that path, you're good. Okay, what I'll say. Sorry, what are your views on homosexuality?
I think it's fine.
Fine.
Should be able
okay,
to,
now this is not a moment.
Do what they want to do.
So this is not a moment. This is not what I would want to call as a moment that I've got you, but essentially it is. Now, for example,
I don't mind. It's okay.
Okay, in this country, homosexuality was illegal up until 1968.
That's kind of fucked up.
It was a criminal offence. So the argument generally was raised: if two consenting adults who've reached the age of discernment, just 18 plus in this country, if they want to do as they please, of their own volition, what's it anyone's business?
Exactly.
So, if two siblings,
I see.
Okay, who are not harming anyone, they agree. Just say there's that understanding that they could possibly have, children who would be deformed in some capacity, which some studies show there is a defect to that. However, the point being, if they agree within a contract that they will, for example, tie their fallopian tube, for example, but the woman would tie that, but she wants to be with her brother. Would you find that acceptable?
We call those rednecks in my country.
Would you find that acceptable?
No, absolutely
See,
not.
but the point being, the parallel is exactly the same. If two consenting adults who are not harming anyone, compare and contrast, and they've agreed, they've eliminated the other possibility of any deference to another individual by the form of children.
Criteria.
Can I just answer? As much as I disagree with that idea, I think we're on the same page there. I don't think it should make any difference to me what my opinion is of what they're doing, as long as they're not harming any other person. So
you're playing the harm factor.
So initially, you went from rather, what shall we say, reluctance towards incest. Now you're considering it, and you're probably thinking, well, conceptually, both points are analogous, so it shouldn't be an issue, incest either.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to participate in it. I think let's draw that line. But I think what business do I have in people's lives? Also, I think you're looking at. I mean, the topic is looking at a very small minority of the population, and so I think to focus our attention on that is our energy can be better spent on more important things like.
No, but the point is, what I'm trying to make to you as an analogy was we define our creator as the informant as to what is deemed as objective morality.
Gotcha.
He is the one who decides, not us.
So let me ask you, are you someone who participates in incest?
No.
Do you think it could be enjoyable if you tried it?
It would be too intrinsically evil for me. I'd feel sick even thinking about it.
But if you tried it, like I'm sure there's been some foods you're like, I'll give it a shot. You're like, oh wow, this is like better than that.
It was something, sometimes the human beings know their level. But for me, even thinking about such a thing, I'd feel sick. So that enjoyment would be, decomposed. It would be just as if I'm doing an act beyond human comprehension.
Sure. Okay, so let me ask you then, staying on this topic, do you think somebody could still be a productive member of society even though they participate in this?
Depends in which capacity, what type of issues
not
that.
Committing any sort of, not breaking any sort of laws.
What
in the public, going to work, paying their bills, being a productive member of society, but they like to hang out with their cousin a little.
You have somebody who could be a mass murderer.
No.
Okay, we have to have a yardstick.
Sure, I'm totally against violence. And so what I'm saying,
but if I'm not caught and I do my normal work and I pay my taxes,
sure,
that's what you're saying?
No, fuck no, no. If you hurt somebody, I believe you. What you said, mass murderer.
Yeah, but mass murdering and having incest, you might be even with.
That's a very vague somebody. Can you be more specific?
You mean vague?
Yeah, because there's a difference between.
What he's trying to say is basically, if a person is inclined towards incest and he's a progressive member of society who's not harming anyone, then what's the issue? That's basically
Also, don't you think your time could be better spent maybe going after those people who are committing mass murders like you're suggesting?
Yeah. We have criteria and we don't from God.
Yeah.
Or we say Allah. He said this is forbidden and this is not.
Okay.
It's like when you have your children and you will say to your child within your household.
Wait, before you go, I'm sorry to cut you off. Can you just reach out to my point there? Do you think that it is okay to allow mass murder now?
No.
Do you think someone's time?
Okay, let me ask you. What do you think of, in addition to this, because I know where we're going here, what about necrophilia?
I don't know. Can you tell me what that means?
It's having sexual. No, it's let me get. Okay.
Oh, you can't ask me a question. I know what it means.
No. Somebody speaking. I've got a terribly sore throat. So you could be inclined towards bestiality, for example.
With animals.
Yeah.
Or you could be necrophilia, meanings having. God forbid, I don't even want to say these. People
sure,
got an audience.
Let's go along the.
But just say having intercourse with dead corpses.
Yeah, that's.
But why?
That is.
If I die, if for example, I've got a partner.
Yeah, that's very
morbid. Well, you say that, but if the partner agrees, just say the partner deceases.
Yeah.
And I'm not harming anyone.
Sure.
They've given it the okay.
Yeah.
See, that's the whole. You've just said that's morbid.
It is. But
what I'm saying to you, observe the point, because I knew you were going in terms of the understanding of incest, and then you try to break that down, and you do that quite well. Then I just objected to that by giving you an understanding of what about necrophilia or bestiality.
I think it's disgusting. Yeah.
Necrophilia is.
Yeah.
Okay, disgusting. Would you allow it? But if it's not harming anyone.
That's a good question. I mean, it's definitely not for me. I would never participate in that.
But would you then reject it? I think, and I'm sure, the way you've concluded about incest, you'll accept it.
On the spot, it's tough to answer that. I don't.
I think the way you've answered the previous question, I think you won't have any issue with that either.
I think it
incrementally, you won't have any issue with it.
Yeah, but okay. So I think my concern is more of this is a very narrow subject that we're looking at, right? And so if I were to take the nearest 1,000 people around me, maybe one of those people is doing what you're describing, and so why not focus our energy on something that's more important, more relevant?
Yes, that's a good point. We can do that. However, if this becomes ubiquitous, just say one person does it.
Though?
No, I say if it becomes ubiquitous.
Okay.
then if just say it becomes so popular,
Sure.
Everything starts from
But
the.
is it though? Like,
No, I'm just giving you an example.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, for example, what are your views on sex in public? You know where you're from, originally Mexico. They passed a law about a year ago. It's now illegal to have sex in the public.
I don't know if that's true or not.
That's true. I found that independently as well.
Yeah, I mean, in my experience living in Mexico and being there, I've never seen that. Never been around.
When were you last there?
June of last year.
End of last year.
June of last year.
Okay, so that's when the time it was legalized.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see it. I think Mexico is historically a conservative country, and I have, like I said, I'm not calling you a liar. It is new information.
Well, I wouldn't just say out of like a shock effect to just make you rattled. I'm assuring I'm not speaking nonsense. So
I guess in my experience being there, I've never seen it. I have plenty of friends and know people there that I would believe that would be against that.
Yes.
It's a very affectionate people, but
yes.
that is crossing the line.
But now it's legal, like I said, in your country. I'm not making it up either.
Sure.
I mean, we already know it's near enough legal in Holland, in the red light district.
True,
So I mean, it's now anyway. Point being now,
I think you're infringing. I think that this idea is infringing on people's freedoms.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, where do our objective morals then lie? Where do we make that conclusion?
Sure.
I mean, what is it? For example, just say.
Let me ask you, why do you believe you have a right to go into people's bedroom and see what they do?
No, we don't. In Islam, we don't have that right. However, we can still see or still make our understanding this is not objectively acceptable.
I think I disagree there.
You disagree?
Yeah.
Okay, so if someone keeps a dead corpse in their home, for example, in the bedroom, in a spare bedroom, why am I making these lavish type of shock effect type? It's because we need to reflect. Overall, is what you would deem as acceptable and unacceptable.
Yeah, we have to find a line, right?
Yeah. So just say you got what do you call it? The psycho type of person, from the 1950s film.
Sure.
So who's got the corpse of his mother, and just say he's taking great, what you call, pleasure from,
That's disgusting.
So it's this exactly.
Yeah.
So therefore, we have to define this. You see, and that can only be done by a moral. So then to go back to the initial points that we were discussing about things such as who is the decider of what is deemed as objectively moral or not. If this continues, let me ask you another question. Just say a super intelligent 12-year-old boy, super intelligent 12-year-old boy, who's able to do a degree. He's more intelligent than the majority.
Sure.
If he is insisting, I want to be in a relationship with another man who's above 18, why can't I do it?
Absolutely not.
Okay, but how do you define that then? Listen, if every cognitive faculty of that particular individual, he's developed physically, okay? He's gone through the stage of puberty at 11 or 12, which often youngsters do, okay? He's considered to have the top qualifications. He can do any work, any job in any field.
Yeah.
Then why would you find that unacceptable?
Well, first off, let me say, I think where I start to disagree with you and you're losing me is that all the questions that you've asked me, I've been centered around the minority of the population.
No, but the point I'm trying to address is irrelevant if it's
but the thing is that like your question, the line of question that you're asking is so irrelevant and so non-practical that I am lost to want to agree with you because
I think it's very coherent. I've gone initially from homosexuality, then to incest, then to necrophilia, then to bestiality.
What percent of the population are we talking about
Well,
here?
we don't know what the percentage of the population are up to.
Don't you think there are bigger problems in the world that we could be discussing?
Yeah, there are problems which all problems need resolving in some capacity.
So then why focus here? Why not go?
No, because we're speaking about God in general, you see, and because we're speaking about beliefs and what is objective and not objective. We went from Christianity then into discussing what you're actually fundamentally think. So I don't think you're inclined towards Christianity at this moment in time, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're
exactly,
right,
precisely. So then we looked at
you look over there.
So then So then we look towards your other beliefs. And
how about this? Ask me something relevant that's practical that I might encounter in my life, because everything that you've been discussing is so minute when it comes to the greater population. I'm almost inclined to say, you're kind of wasting my time because they're
Not really, because all I've seek to do is try to
All right, let me
redress
ask you then,
an
out of
objective
100
moral.
people, how many people, the nearest 100 people around us, how many people are committing necrophilia?
I don't know. I would
Maybe
ask.
a 0.1% of the population.
Maybe
right?
that's even too much.
Sure, but dude, there's
Okay, if it's 0.1% of a population, of just say
Actually,
60.
let me ask you. Let's focus on the 90. What is 99% of the problems that we're facing right now? How can Islam face that?
Yeah. So, for example,
I'm more inclined to
okay,
follow
excellent.
you there.
Okay. So, for example, in this country, consumption of alcohol costs the NHS
What
billions.
is the NHS?
National Health Service
Okay.
costs the NHS billions of pounds every year
Yeah.
as a result of alcohol-induced crime.
Sure.
Lives are destroyed.
Yeah.
Families are destroyed.
Yeah.
It causes so much. So Islam forbids this.
Sure.
I already mentioned that in the beginning,
Sure.
that we're not even allowed to even take a limited amount because latest research has told us that it is very much detrimental
Yeah.
to one's health.
But so is sugar.
Yes.
I mean, we eat enough jelly donuts here. Then
Yeah,
I
good
mean,
point.
We could.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But thing with sugar, it won't instantly make you what you call lose faculties of your mind, make you become make you behave in a way which is contrary, or make you do acts. Because if crimes are committed as a result of consuming alcohol,
Sure.
then you're not going to get people doing crimes as a result of having one extra sugar in a cup of coffee, for
Yeah.
example. So that's the difference between there.
Fair enough.
So,
I thought you were caring about people. That's why, like, consuming sugar can be problematic for people, right?
Yeah, sure. So they have to be wary of that.
Sure.
However, when it comes to alcohol, however, like I said, even a small, people do recognize that even a small consumption of sugar is actually beneficial for you.
Yeah.
The body needs it.
Yeah.
However, alcohol now, totally.
How do you feel about lack of sleep?
Yeah, lack of sleep is very important as well for a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that, had they had a few more hours of sleep, they could probably be a better functioning person.
Yeah, that's true. I
You guys talk about that? Like, is that like a?
I wouldn't say this is the number one topic we speak about. However, I would agree, yes. And I do encourage lots of people to get your full 8 hours sleep, which people recommend, yes.
I mean, because I think that's equally as problematic, right? If we're looking at it from a health
But it can't
standpoint,
be instantly as problematic.
I'm sure
Because,
there's people that don't drink that, I don't know, maybe you know somebody that,
for example, today's Saturday night, people are going to be out and about
for sure.
in their clubs. They're going to get drunk. There's going to be all types of mayhem occurring everywhere, up and down the country.
Sure.
Just check out the NHS, statistics on that. That will give you a great
what about
insight.
the people that are responsible?
That's a very, very few people who are, and even those who are responsible.
Oh, you think?
Just say even those who are responsible,
Yeah.
but alcohol has been shown to have a severe
Oh,
effect.
no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
Severe
No doubt about
effect. So, for example, if I like me as
Well,
an,
severe is kind of
for example-
a severe word, don't you? What did you say?
if for example I like meat, red meat,
me
but
too.
I know I'm gonna have a problem if I just go a little bit beyond, because
but
I'm
you
gonna
know
feel
what,
my
though?
cholesterol levels are gonna
I-
be raised.
I think-
Or fried eggs, same thing with
I
that.
think research is showing that cholesterol is actually not a bad thing, and people benefit from high protein diets. And there's a lot of.
To be honest with me, I love fried eggs, but I can't have them. If I have just say 6 in a week, I'll feel twinges in my chest.
So with
Although
that
I
line
love,
with that line, yeah, me too. With that line of thinking, because you can't enjoy fried eggs, people shouldn't be able to.
No, that's because the point being, eggs have got their benefits to them.
Sure,
No one
yeah,
is saying for a second.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying to you, if you as an individual can't partake in this type of
Yeah.
food, I mean, I like chicken burgers and fried wings, but I can't have it
Okay.
all the time, can we? It's detrimental
Yeah.
to the health. But if you have it, just sporadically,
Yeah.
it's deemed as acceptable.
Do you believe that all Muslim or all people who are of the Muslim faith are equally as responsible when it comes to performing Muslim responsibilities?
No, because Muslims, I'm not saying Muslims are the best representatives of the faith, you see.
Sure,
It's, for
okay.
example, you've got a nice Mercedes car, but
Absolutely.
you don't know who's driving it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
could have all types of issues.
Okay. So that's where we're on board, is because with that line of thinking, it leads me to believe that. Well, it seems like you're preaching that this should be the way to go.
Yes.
But even I'm sure there's people who follow the faith that don't practice it the right way. So how can you say that? This idea of responsibility. I don't know if you can tell. I've had about 8 beers today, and I think we've engaged in a pretty.
You had 8 beers?
Somewhere around there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Pretty productive conversation.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not being disrespectful. I don't think I'm being disrespectful to you. I
No,
don't think
you've
I've
been very. No,
disrespectful to anyone else.
You've been excellent.
I
Yes.
enjoy debate like this, open.
Although I am a
conversation.
bit disappointed that you took 2 points off Liverpool today, which has near enough cemented their unfortunately, inability to win the 20th league title, which they would have been co-equaled with Manchester United. However, that's part of the tragedy of supporting Liverpool at the moment. But continue, please.
But anyway, okay, that's a good distraction. I guess my point is that I think people should be allowed to, abide by the rules, given the opportunity. I don't think we should.
Which rules? Sorry, which rules?
Whatever. I mean, alcohol, freedom of speech. I think some of the things like necrophilia, I think that's disgusting. Like, I think I'm with you there. But I'm very careful to want to limit people's freedom. I think at a time where it starts to hurt people, then there should be something about it. But your idea about like being like this responsibility idea, there's people that follow your faith that aren't responsible,
but
and they're probably still good people.
Well, I mean, they can be to an extent, but
maybe you're biased. I don't know.
Not really, no. Because in the totality of things,
you seem totalitarian. That's where I'm going.
I'm not totalitarian.
It seems like it.
Because what we do, we base our understanding upon the Creator. You see, and that's not totalitarianism.
Seems pretty strict.
Well, it's just a methodology of living one's life in accordance for betterment of one's.
So do you think? Well, so
for example, in Islam, if I like a drink, well, I can have a mango juice, which I really like, or I can have
sugar though.
Yeah, but I'll be careful, won't I? I'm not going to go over the top.
Okay, exactly. So why can't I be careful? Why can't you allow me to? That's
no problem.
Why can't you allow me to be? Or not saying you specifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean.
Why can't someone be allowed to be? You know what I mean? Like give them the chance to be responsible.
We've just established that even a limited amount of alcohol is detrimental to your health. That's the latest research.
So you care about me? Is
of course, yes. Why are we having a chat? I'm not having a chat, so they're going to wow our audience. They're going to give me pocketing me like a couple of $100 or something, are they?
So you care about my health, or you care about my well-being?
I care about because we're here because you're a human being like I am.
Sure.
I want good for you. I want you to recognize why are we? What's the purpose of our existence? Is it purposeless?
Okay.
Or is there a purpose behind it?
Can I give you an example?
Sure.
Obviously, not from around here.
Yeah.
I came to a pub, had a few beers, went to a match, sat around people I've never met before.
Yes.
Had a few more beers at the stadium, had a great time.
Yeah.
Never met those people. Are you going to tell me that my ability to enjoy the match, the people around me, conversate, kind of exactly like I'm doing with you, should be taken away because you think I can't be responsible?
No, but at the same juncture, we've already established if you're in that environment, which easily can kick off in pubs. I mean, you've gone to a West Ham match. They used to have their stadium in Upton Park, right? You've seen the film Green Street, where an American gentleman like yourself comes over, related to another English West Ham football hooligan, and one little drink leads to another. And next thing you know, you're in a situation where you may actively become a hooligan yourself as a result of consumption of alcohol.
Or
a victim, of course.
That's an assumption there that I'm going to be participating.
I'm not saying you're going to participate.
Well,
I said once you lose faculty of what you're doing, then anything goes.
Hypothetically, yeah.
Yes, of course. So once we establish then that alcohol leads to that. Now, if you're an individual, if you're an individual who's had 8 beers, not that I could smell it on you too much, but if you've had 8 beers, then I would notice that first of all, and you would have to be one super strong person not to have a little bit of not feeling wobbly. Wobbly. But you appear to be an excellent.
I mean, it was over time, but again, like, I think that's where I disagree with you because the way that you're describing this, maybe I should stay home then. What
we're doing today, we're out and about. We're approaching members of the public. Islam is a holistic way of living, you see. Sure. It deals with every facet of society.
So I can go drink and work out and have a conversation with you. And
well, if that's something that you wish to do in your own privacy, then so be it.
Oh, okay, perfect. And so back to like the necrophilia stuff.
But that's going to be to your detriment. At the end of the day, even a small consumption of alcohol, you've been warned, in effect, even a small consumption of alcohol is detrimental to you. Do you want to take that risk of in another 20 years, you're a young man, maybe 20, late 20s, and if you're going to go about thinking, okay, you know what, I'm all right now, and I should be all right if I remain.
So then where do you draw the line? Because I might have a few pastries today, and I know that's not good for my insulin, my body's ability to
absolutely. So be careful then.
So I can't do that either?
No, pastries is fine. You can have your pastries to the extent, though, that it's not going to cause your glucose level to go over the roof.
So you're okay with a little bit of sugar?
But it's not, again, we're going back to that point. It's not going to make you lose your faculties.
Yeah.
Like I said, you've had 8 beers. Okay, and
But I thought initially you were concerned about my health.
I am concerned about your health.
If I have 9 cinnamon rolls, I might, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
It's not,
No, I am concerned about. Of course, I'm concerned. That is why we're here, approaching the public to make them that there's a better way of living our lives according to will of a creator. Do you work on it? For example, you're a good-looking 5'7", 5'8" man. Okay, you've got 2 nice eyes. You've got nice complexion. If I gave you £50 million for both of your eyes, right here, right now, no chance. You got it for free. Isn't that worth considering momentarily? Irreplaceable, priceless, being given to you. You're something that is yours. You got your mouth where you can eat and drink, consume water, eat as a result of something given. So hence, we need to be grateful to something which has given that to us, that we have no control of within ourselves.
Stand under the cover. Swing.
I'm fine right here. Yeah.
Okay. It's just the cameras might get a soaking.
Oh,
Yeah, they're more worried. Well, there, it's not mine, it's theirs.
I'm just split on. I think there's an infringement here. And I think that's where
Infringement in the sense that if something is harmful for you, and I'm saying to you, abstain from that.
Sure.
That for you, it should make you consider, no, this guy wants better for me. Why on earth would he want me to? Listen, I want to, if you went out now and you would have a non-alcoholic beer, go ahead.
Cold water. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
But see, there's the thing is like I think I'm being responsible. You know what I mean? Like it's, I guess. Well, just to reiterate, I think I should be allowed to make mistakes because I'm sure that there are people of the faith that make mistakes.
Now, we
right?
can make mistakes, but once we know, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
We are not created perfect.
Sure.
God knows this. In fact, according to the Islamic understanding, is that God would have, if God was to make us perfect, He would have created
Like him.
If we would have God made someone like perfect who was sinless, then God would create beings who are capable of sinning because He knows that we're limited. But can you come?
He enjoys watching a show. That's
No, he doesn't enjoy watching the show. He's given us the show. It's how we perform in the show. That's the difference. He's given us the show. It's how we perform in it. It's incumbent upon us. I'll give you a brilliant example, which should be self-reflective for yourself. You've got 2 eyes. You've got a nose to breathe. You've got a mouth to eat. That is He's given. You haven't given it to yourself. You never made it. So hence, we should be grateful to that Creator. So that Creator is going to judge us according to what we've done on this earth. I'm not saying I'm going to judge you, but that Creator is going to judge me, judge you, judge everyone. So what is better? He wants what's better for you. When I say He, it's not a he.
I thought you said it wasn't a woman. Yeah.
Exactly. But we just
Is it?
Yeah. I just say God. So that God wants better for you, but God wants you to recognize God as well. He doesn't.
Have you ever done psychedelic drugs?
Pardon?
Have you ever done psychedelic drugs?
No, I've never done drugs in my life. If you were to bring me a powder, a washing powder, and a drug, and you say smell both, I'll think if I smell the drug, I'll just smelling it, I'll puke up.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced.
So what is it? What specifically do you find unconvincing?
I think
Specifically.
I think people should be allowed to do whatever they want as long as they're not hurting anybody else.
Yeah,
As long as they're not a productive member of society. I think when that line gets crossed, I think it's a problem.
Yeah.
I think that should be regulated.
Yeah.
But I think people should be given the opportunity to make a mistake.
Did you know, for example, amongst people of a same-sex disposition, sexually transmitted diseases are much more prevalent than within the heterosexual community.
Yeah.
Now, that then causes massive burden on the NHS. Billions of pounds worth.
I'm sure fat people do too.
Yep.
I'm sure.
So therefore,
Fuck that,
yeah, exactly. So they too should be. That's why we have these programs in place to watch what you eat.
Yeah.
So I agree with you totally.
Yeah.
However, in that example that I've given you, it's also an absolute requirement for you then to do what is better for your health in totality, you see. So we need to reflect upon these points for your betterment, you see. So your point, again, generally speaking, about the harm principle. So we've gone down into many why I try to break that down in that way is because what would be deemed as objectively acceptable and you've just stated necrophilia is just too morbid. But again, the conceptually is exactly analogous to
that is still a very narrow-minded subject to
how?
spend our time on.
In which way would you say it's just because it's not practiced by people? However, in a ubiquitous manner. However, what we can say, if those who do it, or what do you think of nudity? Should a human being be allowed to walk naked in public?
No.
Why? They're not harming anyone.
I don't know how to express that, but I don't believe
You see, this is the issue we got now, haven't we?
Yeah.
The issue here is who defines what would be acceptable and unacceptable.
But don't you think it's like worrisome that a religion should define that?
Yeah, so the religion is the arbitrator.
Yeah.
Is
Isn't
the
that a little
necessary.
worrisome though?
Pardon?
Isn't that worrisome?
No.
Because what if your religion is not the one that is in charge?
So what you then observe, again, by method of deconstruction, which we have done essentially speaking, if we understand there's a singular creator who's created the heavens and the earth, he's unlike his creation, not a man, not a woman, not an idol, not a statue. Once we understand that derivative, then the next thing for us is to make a summary conclusion, what does that creator want for us? Then it makes no sense for me that I'm created purposelessly without a guidance.
Yeah.
For example, the first ever mobile phone that someone may have given you, you've never operated it before, I give it to you, what do you expect with it?
I don't understand your question.
Just say you've never operated a mobile phone before. I give it to you,
Yeah.
and I say, here you are, you can speak to someone from one end of the world to the other.
Sure.
You've never used it before, you don't even know what it does.
Okay.
What is the first thing you would ask with it?
How do I use it?
Precisely, a manual, a guide.
Yeah.
So that's precisely, we as human beings, we come to the earth, we need to know what our purpose of this existence
Sure.
is.
So, but
Is it simply
I
to-
think you sidestepped my question. Is what if because you're saying there should be an arbitrator and there should be a religion. What if that religion is not yours?
So this is what I'm trying, I don't believe I sidestepped it.
Okay.
What I've tried for you
Maybe
to
I
do
didn't understand that.
is to make a reflection. Our creator, who's created the universe, he, by definition, that creator must be beyond the universe and hence cannot be analogous to the universe.
Okay.
So,
What if you disagree with that religion?
so then if you disagree with that religion, then you have to give a better format of living.
Yeah.
And then we've just seen, by you saying necrophilia is morbid,
Yeah, it
and then
is.
but notice my point, look at what the succinct point I'm trying to address to you.
okay.
You've just said that's unacceptable, from what I understand.
Yeah.
You then were unsure about incest, but then you thought, now there could be reasons for it. Then to outright acceptance of LGBTQ. So we've gone through a due process. And something you found unacceptable, other things you have. So then who would decide in law,
Yeah.
if you were President of the United States today, would you, shoving across Biden and Trump,
Probably
would
I'd
you
probably wake him up first.
would you allow necrophilia to become legal?
No, no way.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Would you allow incest to become legal?
Oh no! Did you think that I was gonna say yes?
No, I don't say that. Would you allow incest to become legal?
I would probably have to look at it more, but so I'm hesitant. But I would lean towards saying no.
Okay, excellent. So that
I
what
hope
we
you
do.
don't chop that up and put it on your camera.
No, I'm independent of them. They just put the mic on me.
Oh, so they're gonna chop it up.
No, they never chop it up. You can watch it later. I'll give you the channels. You can just remember. You're an intelligent guy, so you just remember what you said. They don't chop anything up.
I won't remember,
Yeah.
but it's okay.
Okay, that's fine. So, like I said, then we, in our construct of belief, that creator, who is unlike his creation, that creator defines to us. And the great thing also is that Islam is not just.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right. Go on.
I was gonna say, isn't that how like wars have been started though in the past?
Good question, fabulous question, and indeed you're correct.
Yeah.
However, there's a verse in the Quran, it's a beautiful verse. Allah says, let's come to a common terms as between us and you, that we worship none than the one true God. Us meaning Muslims, you meaning everybody else.
Yeah.
And that is the way to actually, I'll tell you something, I appear on a weekly show on YouTube. I appear on a weekly show on YouTube.
He's drunk.
On YouTube, featuring.
Perfect. I can be responsible. He can. I'm sorry.
That's
yeah.
cool. No, that's fine. So YouTube,
Okay.
in which I have Catholics, Protestants, Unitarians, all coming on board discussing who they believe Jesus is, and we have an interesting dialogue between us. Then what happens? For some reason, the Unitarian representative who's a Christian, and as you're aware, Unitarians don't believe Jesus is God.
I don't know.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
but
So
yeah.
there's an automatic.
I'll take your word for it.
there's an automatic understanding that's between us and him. Whereas our Trinitarian friends who believe Jesus is free and one with God, you can sense, although it's very cordial, that they're not happy with the way we are trying to decode the notion that Jesus is God. Okay, they're not happy. In turn, you can tell they're not happy with it.
Well, that's his dad, from what I was told.
Pardon?
That's his dad, right?
It's not, and I mean, that's another topic, but it's not. They've misunderstood the New Testament totally.
They don't say that. I thought they said that. But anyway, I'm sorry.
And then when it says, for example, son, it simply means one who represents God. Like, for example, in the Bible, this is the sad paradox of history. Like, biblically speaking, a son of God is one who represents God. It's defined in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the sons of God. So anybody who does God's work in the biblical language is referred to as a son of God. It's not to be taken literally. However, the later Trinitarians did take it literally. Are you following what I'm saying to you?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's another topic, and if you're prepared to hang around another hour and a half, no problem. Which I'm sure you can't.
Yeah.
But in conclusion, the point we've made there is that God is the arbitrator of how one lives for our own betterment. God's not there to curtail us. So, for example,
Not there to contain us.
curtail us, yeah,
Oh, curtail.
or contain. Yeah, you can use
Okay.
either word. That's fine. God's not here to. However,
So let
there's
us be
some things.
responsible.
Yes, and in that methodology, we do that responsibility according to what God has made acceptable and unacceptable. That's for our betterment. Because nothing, for example, often people say, oh, Muslims, they've got a very strict life.
Man, I'm stuck on the alcohol part because if I stay home, right, I'm sat at my couch watching a West Ham game.
Yes.
Not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I have maybe friends and family coming over, and I have a few beers. Where's the harm there? What is the?
We've already discussed this, haven't we?
I know, but that's
We've shown to you
I'm not like I just don't agree.
what the science now tells us. We can't escape
Right.
that even a limited amount is detrimental to your health. And not just that, what
Right.
it causes
so does that
in
mean
addition.
that you're following science, keeping your VO2 max up? Are you able to bench press twice your weight? Are you able to squat twice your weight? Can you deadlift 1.75% of your, or 1.7 times your entire
I think
weight?
that's getting a bit too far, is it? I can't, but my son can.
Oh, but then
my,
you can't say
but I
that
can't.
though, and then you're asking questions about necrophilia that affect.
So is that what you can
1%.
do? Is that, I'm sure. Can you do that?
I don't know about the bench, but close. But that's not
That's
the point,
good,
though.
yeah.
But like, I mean, you're talking very
You're
specifics.
not Anatoly, are you from YouTube? You're not Anatoly?
No.
You watch him, he's really fun. Anyway, carry on, sorry.
But anyway, so like that's where like I can't follow you.
So your argument is this in a nutshell. You're at home or in wherever you may be in a pub, a couple of beers with a few lads, enjoying your drink, enjoying the game, go home, you haven't made any issue. However, what we're observing is that this is not the quintessential understanding of how you may be an extreme exception to the rule. However, the rule then cannot be broken simply for yourself. So, for example, those same individuals who you watch a game of footy with, if they have 8 beers and they go home, if West Ham have lost and their missus irritates them, they're going to give her the right hook. This is what happens. When England lose, which they always lose in football tournaments, what happens? What happens? Did you know crime, domestic violence goes through the roof?
Yeah.
Why? England lose and the male folk decide to go and bash up their female
I've
partners.
never hit a woman in my life.
You haven't, but you're an yeah. But what I'm saying to you, if you lose your faculties of your mind, you may do that.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? You're not sure, are you?
I mean, you seem very sure that you wouldn't have been Muslim if you hadn't been born in, I don't know where you were born. If you've been born, in Haiti, would you have been Muslim? Probably not.
No, I wouldn't.
It's very difficult to...
But then I answer that question by saying to you specifically that there will become a time in your life when you would reflect. Yeah. So, for example, if I'm born in Haiti, and I know Haiti's mainly Christian, I know one guy...
I just threw out,
No, that's
whatever,
fine.
yeah.
No, I know what you mean. That's where all the American bases are, aren't they? So,
I don't think there's any.
No, there is.
Probably in Puerto Rico,
Yeah,
but not.
I think there is a minor base in Haiti as well. Because my friend told me, who I speak to sometime, and he basically said that Christianity is prevalent there. So there would come a point in my life, I would, because God's given me an intellect, I would read that New Testament, and I would think to myself, come on, man, where does Jesus ever claim to be God?
Okay. I see
But
where you're going
it's
with
just
that.
like using your noddle, for
No,
example.
I know, I see where you're going there, but like, I've never had to read any book or any sort of rule book that told me to not hit a woman. Like, why do I need that? You know, why?
What I'm saying to you is I've already given you an
You're finding
example.
loopholes because
No,
I
I've
don't
given
need
you a good
someone to tell me
example.
that I shouldn't commit
Yeah.
domestic abuse.
Okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying to you, with
You can't say that though.
no, but with the consumption of
Because
alcohol, statistics and figures have shown in this country at least that domestic violence goes through over the roof in the event that this particular. And I gave a good example. We're having the European Championships in 1.5 months. Once England get knocked out of the tournament, which is very much likely, you watch. Hopefully you're still here. But do check out. You watch how domestic violence will go through the roof as a result of alcohol-induced.
So I have to be punished because of them.
Not necessarily yourself. However, in the Islamic narrative, for example, you as a Christian, as a person who's a non-Muslim, you can drink. You can drink.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can drink, for example, in the privacy of your own home or whatever. But you can't. You want to be able to bring it out to the public, because of the.
Oh, you can drink.
If that's what you want to do.
At home.
Yeah, at home in the privacy of even though it's strictly forbidden.
Oh, so why didn't you say that when I made the
Yeah, but I just thought that I wanted to give you a lowdown on the detrimentality of the consumption of alcohol. That was it. What ensues as a result. But according to the Islamic paradigm, as long as you're not bringing it to the public domain, you could do anything you want in the public privacy of your own home.
Would you be really upset if you found out that high-ranking like Islamic figures consumed alcohol?
It would just show a rather hypocrisy on their part. Because
So you don't think people in pick a country that is majority Islamic, you don't think they drink? They're not sneaking something in?
Of course they are.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I guess we acknowledge that. But okay, I hope you understand that. Like I said, I don't think I need someone to tell me not to hit a woman. Like I said, I've had it probably around 8 years. I would assume that you haven't felt any sort of threat by me, talking to you. And so, like,
why should I feel threatened if I've enjoyed the conversation?
And so, like, why should I be held to a lower standard because someone else?
I'm not putting you to a lower standard.
I'm showing. You're not saying me specifically, but like this idea.
Yeah, but I've told you the detrimentality of what one faces when one consumes
that's
alcohol.
True, then how come you don't see me punching, whoever walks? You know what I mean?
But we've already established you're the exception to the rule.
You can't do that though.
But okay, you tell me. Okay, let me ask you a question.
You can't do that though.
You just a short while ago, those West Ham supporters walked by, and you quickly made the observation that they are being somewhat unruly.
Sure.
Probably having had one too much to drink.
Yeah.
I doubt if those same individuals were walking by.
They might be bigoted too.
They could be, but very plausible. However, that bigotry is exacerbated by drink, whereas they will just walk by quietly, say no thanks, mate.
So then why don't we as a population address bigotry as opposed to?
We are addressing bigotry, aren't we?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
we're trying to anyway.
Well,
of course,
I mean, the
bigotry is unacceptable. If, for example, you're like a olive complexion and I'm just say dark brown as an example.
You are,
yeah. For example, why should I be inferior to you? Just by the different, we've got different colour. Well, not too different, but anyway, you see what I mean? Yeah. Well, you see what I mean, don't you? Yeah.
No,
cool.
I agree.
Yeah, but that makes. Yeah, that's right. So that makes no sense whatsoever.
I agree.
Yeah. So bigotry should be absolutely, done away with.
Sure.
But again, that conclusion as to who is the arbitrator is our creator. We leave our creator to decide. That makes sense, you see, because the human being,
I think he's just a
like over in 1968 or
Were you
19.
born here?
Yes.
In
Just a few miles from it.
To Muslim parents, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So that's why.
But that's not the fundamental. Like, there's a lot of people here. If you look around, an Englishman there right behind you become Muslim. An Afro-Caribbean person become Muslim. Another English person.
Yeah,
it's ubiquitous.
Sure.
Yeah, people are really rushing towards Islam, and I'm not just saying that as a matter of trying to show that we're superior. No, it's the best way for one. Good.
Yeah.
It's the best way for one to lead one's life.
Actually, I actually kind of would prefer that because I remember like when I was younger, I wanted like my Catholic priest to say, you know what, everyone else is wrong. Like because
we don't say. What we say is quite nicely that once you accept a creator, a singular creator, who is unlike his creation, then a lot of the world's issues can systematically resolve. Because you know what it's all about? Our belief in God is right.
Yeah.
So what we say is, if you look at all the world scripture, this is a remedy to the situation. Your question posed: why so many religions and conflicts? Simple. Once you accept that there's only one God who is unlike his creation, neither a man nor a woman, don't associate partners with God. So God's not a monkey, he's not an idol, he's not whatever.
Yeah.
Once we've grabbed that point, just like biblical Unitarians believe, then I think we're on the winner.
Okay, so then ask me. Well, help me with this. I obviously am not religious, right? But in my opinion, that doesn't mean that I should. I could look at you in any other way because you are.
I'm not looking at you, Nidhi. I'm looking
No.
at yeah.
What I'm saying is so like I don't need someone to teach me that. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe I have been taught that, but I don't need a religion to tell me like, or whoever to say that like you are wrong because you follow this religion.
I'm not. See, you missed the point. You missed the boat totally. What I tried to show to you.
I agree. I guess my question is that up to this point in my life, I've gone without religion.
Yes.
Been arrested.
Yeah.
At my doctorate degree.
Yeah.
I've been able to engage in conversation with you.
Yes.
And it seems like what you're saying is people should, have faith, because if they don't, they might do otherwise. But I feel like I am the otherwise because I'm not religious. But I think we've had for the most part, a decent conversation.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we have.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging you, and neither am I thinking, am I here to lecture you or be totalitarian, but rather for you to consider that creator, you see, who is the arbitrator of how we lead one's life. And then at that juncture, you will find that Islam, for example, we don't live lives which are too different to anyone else.
Yeah.
Have families, have issues, family issues,
Sure.
have problem, all types of different issues which the normal person encounters.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We pray. What we do, we pray our 5 daily prayers. In this time of year, it's very widely spread about. It doesn't take any of your time up, really. Yeah. It's not overbearing and overburdening, but it's a conduct of living as well, a particular conduct defined by a creator.
Sure.
Yeah, and that discipline is not so regimented. I mean, this infatuation. Oh, why can't I have a beer? I mean, have something. God's given you 1,000 other drinks. Have those 1,000 other drinks. Yeah. Why do you insist on having beer for? It's a curtailment. It's not curtailing you. It's something which we've already gone through this anyway. It's not.
But sweet. Well, I appreciate it.
Gentlemen.
I don't have the opportunity to do this back home, so it's been fun.
If you do fancy doing it again, on Saturdays on Sundays in central London.
I'm actually flying out the country tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So,
I wish you a safe trip. Something for you to reflect. Yeah. What I can do as a source of entertainment for you to go forward, as something that you've been endeared to once you've come to London, is you can watch our conversation perhaps later. Off camera, I'll give you the name of the channels and reflect on what's been discussed.
I'll have a beer as I watch it.
Now you can say what you like, my friend. It's up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Delighted to speak to you. Just before you go. So that's a very pleasant conversation with our American visitor over here, who's of Mexican extraction. So we will be, hope you don't want me saying that. So we will be having a review of the conversation, or rather he will hopefully review and reflect. I'm here to learn, I don't know everything. I'm sure he would say the same thing as well. So I hope people find it informative. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Take care.
Okay, so the two channels.
Don't edit. Yeah.
I'm sure you want to watch it.
I probably, I don't know.
It could be watched by